Sometimes, it's in the smallest moments, a quiet act of compassion, a simple question, a stranger's kindness, where life's most powerful stories unfold. What you're about to hear isn't just a story, it's a reminder of the humanity we all carry inside us. Backhand index pointing right if you believe in second chances. If you still believe kindness can change the world, then like this video, subscribe to Kindness Corner, and share it with someone who needs a little hope today. And don't forget to comment your thoughts, we read every one. The rain came down in cold, merciless sheets, blurring the city lights and soaking through every layer of clothing. It was one of those nights when the world felt a little too cruel, a little too loud, and a little too indifferent to the quiet suffering that hides in plain sight. On a lonely sidewalk by a dimly lit bus stop, a young woman sat slouched on a wooden bench, her hair clinging to her cheeks, her clothes damp and clinging to her tired frame. A battered khaki backpack lay at her feet. Her face, pale with exhaustion, was turned toward the ground, and her arms wrapped tightly around her shivering body. She hadn't looked up in over 10 minutes. A few feet away, a little girl, maybe 4 years old, stood holding onto a small plastic toy, a unicorn missing one leg. The child wore a pink hoodie zipped up to her chin, her small face solemn and confused. She looked up occasionally at her mother with eyes too heavy for her age, as if she already knew that their world wasn't safe, or fair. Cars passed. People stared. No one stopped. Except one man. Before we continue this journey, if you believe in kindness, in second chances, and in the power of one good heart to change a life, please take a moment to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to Kindness Corner. Let's make sure stories like these remind us what truly matters. The man stepped out of a sleek black car that had pulled over across the street. He wore a charcoal gray coat over a tailored suit, but even through the rain, you could see he wasn't concerned about appearances. His eyes were locked on the bench, on the girl hunched over it like the weight of the world had finally become too much. His name was Alexander Reed. CEO of a major tech company. Worth millions. Feared in boardrooms. Respected in headlines. But tonight, he was just a man staring at a stranger who looked like she had nothing left. Something about her, maybe the way she shielded her daughter from the rain with her own body, or the way her hands trembled as she pulled her backpack closer, stopped him cold. Alex knelt beside the child first, gently asking where her daddy was. The little girl just looked at him and pointed at the woman on the bench. "Mommy's tired," she whispered. That was when the woman finally lifted her head. Her name was Claire Bennett. 28 years old. Former nursing student. Single mother. Abandoned 2 years ago by the man who swore he'd stay. Evicted 3 weeks ago. Fired after missing shifts due to her daughter's fever. That night, she had just come from a failed job interview and had exactly $7.48 left to her name. She hadn't eaten all day. Her daughter hadn't had anything but crackers since morning. And the bus? It wasn't coming. She looked at Alex through eyes swollen with unshed tears and prepared herself for another stranger offering pity, or worse. But instead, she heard the most unexpected words. "You're coming with me." She blinked, startled. Her body froze, unsure whether to run or collapse. Alex saw the fear in her eyes and clarified, gently, urgently, that he meant no harm. That he had a safe place. That he could help. That no woman and child should sit on a cold bench in the dark and be ignored by the world. Claire didn't know what to say. Her instincts told her not to trust anyone. But her daughter's chattering teeth, her own exhaustion, the hopelessness in her bones, they said something else. So she went. He opened the car door, wrapped a dry blanket from the back seat around the little girl, and guided Claire into the warmth. They didn't speak much on the way. The silence was fragile. Sacred, almost. At the next light, Claire whispered a single word, "Why?" But Alex didn't answer right away. He just glanced at her, then at the child now asleep with her hand resting on Claire's lap, and said, "Because no one ever stopped for my mom either." What followed in the next few days wasn't a fairy tale. It was something better, real, raw, and human. He didn't hand her money or throw charity at her. He offered stability. A guest room. A warm meal. A doctor for the child. A moment to breathe. He asked questions, then listened. Slowly, she opened up. Her story spilled out, of struggle, of betrayal, of the quiet dignity she fought to maintain even when life had taken everything. She cried for hours one night while watching her daughter finally sleep in a real bed. He just sat outside the door, waiting, making sure she knew she wasn't alone. Alex didn't just help Claire survive, he gave her the space to rise again. He connected her to one of his non-profit programs for displaced women, got her an interview at a pediatric clinic, and helped enroll her daughter in a local preschool. He never asked for anything in return. Claire, fiercely proud, offered to clean, to cook, to help in any way she could. But he just smiled and said, "You'll help someone else someday. That's enough for me." Weeks turned to months. One afternoon, Claire stood in the mirror wearing scrubs again, her name stitched proudly on her badge. She was a nurse. Full-time. Respected. Independent. Her daughter had just won a class award for kindness. And the man who changed their lives? He stood in the background of their story like a guardian angel with rough hands and tired eyes. Alex never wanted praise. He just didn't want to keep walking past people he could save. Now, Claire volunteers every Sunday at that same bus stop, handing out care kits and warm food. When people ask why, she tells them, "Because someone once said, 'You're coming with me,' and meant it." If this story moved you, even just a little, please consider liking this video, sharing it with someone who needs hope, and subscribing to Kindness Corner. Your support helps spread stories that heal and remind the world that kindness still lives among us. Speech balloon special request: if you've ever experienced a moment